Now you heard it said that mind is the creator of happiness, mind is the creator of suffering. But also, this is something you may have not heard before, unless you're a little bit familiar with the teachings. That is, the mind is also the creator of samsara. Mind is also the creator of nirvana. Now that you might find it something new revelation. In fact, one great master called Shantideva said, heaven and hell are the states of mind. Little like what John Milton said also. Mind is, in its place, can make a heaven of hell and hell of heaven. It's a matter of perception, working with mind. Now, when you say mind is the creator of samsara, mind the creator of nirvana, you know what samsara is? Kind of you must have heard of. Samsara is basically not so good. Nirvana is very good. That's a simple explanation. Samsara means actually vicious cycle. Vicious cycle. It's called in Tibetan konkora. When you go into a vicious cycle. In fact, there's a simple definition which says, samsara is the cycle of existence, of birth and death, characterized by suffering and determined by harmful emotions, our action, the karma. Whereas nirvana is literally the state beyond suffering and sorrow. It can be said to be the Buddhahood itself. Another way of putting it, because of ignorance and negative emotions or destructive emotions or negative thought and thinking, we engage in negative actions, result in suffering. And that kind of world that's created called samsara, reality that's called samsara. You understand? Whereas nirvana is through knowledge and wisdom. In fact, also it's very important, the teaching said, the wisdom of how we regain the wisdom that we've lost, because fundamentally in the Buddhist teaching, the ground and the fundamental basis is that we all have, regardless who we are, even the Dutch have Buddha nature. Even the Belgium have Buddha nature. We all have Buddha nature. We all have the potential of enlightenment. It is said in the teachings, one ground, two paths, and two fruitions. Meaning, one ground is Buddhas and us sentient beings have the same ground. We have the same fundamental basis, same nature. We all have the potential of enlightenment. But then what happened? Buddha recognized this and became enlightened. Whereas we, because of ignorance, we fail to recognize, and therefore we are in samsara. You got it? I mean, that I think is very important on a very deep level. In Christianity and other religions speak of that we are children of God, meaning that we are all made in the image of God. That means there must be some godliness or goodness. There must be some godliness in us. You understand? In Buddhism is even more clearly shown that we have the same nature as the Buddha. In fact, in the highest teachings, called the Dzogchen, or the teaching direction, it is said that we are already perfectly pure Buddhas. We are already what is called Ngo Yedak Sangye in Tibetan. Ngo Yedak. We are essentially, on the fundamental level, we are already fully purified Buddhas already. Yet the trouble is that we've been obscured. As Buddha said in the He Vajra Tantra, sentient beings are Buddhas, but yet they have been obscured by the adventish stains. Once these stains are removed, they are Buddha indeed. What are these adventish stains? Adventish stains in Tibetan Lobru means these stains are not inherent. Now, if I give the example, then you'll see it clearly. The example, the best example, one of the best ways to demonstrate this is example of the sky and the clouds. Okay? Sky is our nature, but it gets obscured. When it's obscured, what happens? The sky is obscured, and the sun of our true nature, the bodhicitta, does not shine through. But then, if you take a plane and go beyond the clouds, you will find, I'm sure you've taken a lot of planes. If you take a plane and go beyond the clouds, you find there's an infinite space. Particularly once I had experience of going in a Concorde. You know, the Concords are not such a big deal. It's quite small. There's no movies. And the food is just nouveau cuisine. There's nothing to eat. In those days, nouveau cuisine now kind of finished, I think, isn't it? It's in the 80s. Anyway, so the real experience is when you go beyond. It goes beyond the sound and beyond the cloud. You find there's an infinite space that's never, ever touched by the clouds. That's infinite. There's an incredible depth of space that's never, ever touched by the clouds. Clouds are just below, on the surface. That's how it is. Deep in our nature is you can call it the Buddha nature, or the bodhicitta, with its extraordinary wisdom, love, compassion, and the power. That's one of the reasons is when we do meditation, when we practice compassion, particularly when we bless with, most importantly, when we bless with the wisdom mind of the great masters, our mind really opens up and enters into a dimension that goes beyond the thought and thinking. The extraordinary state of transcendence where you really experience the heart of the universe. The extraordinary. That's your experience, having a glimpse of your Buddha nature. And that is always there, available. Shows that, what is amazing that even when we're being clouded, why are we being obscured? Because of ignorance, negative emotions, but even with spite of all these negative emotions, negative action, negative karma, still our Buddha nature is not touched. Buddha nature remains pure, completely pure, which is the good news. In Christianity, you talk about original sin, and Buddhism, we talk about original purity. It's called primordial purity of natural simplicity, free of complexity. And it's extraordinary. It is when we glimpse that, then we realize why we practice meditation, why compassion. Because at the moment, we are not well. We are not well because you're away from your home. You're away from your true nature. You've lost touch with your true nature. You need to be united. And we seek that desperately through all kinds of ways. We seek that through all kinds of ways. And often what we do, we try to seek through external means, through love and through all kinds of ways we try to seek. But unfortunately, ultimate is that it's all within. To be united with our own ultimate nature. Is that clear? Now, the Nirvana is when you reach to the ultimate state of peace. Then you say, okay, all right. But now, first of all, we have that potential of enlightenment. If there was not that potential of enlightenment, if we did not have Buddha nature, then we would not have any hope. I remember my master Dujim used to say, however you might try to squeeze from the rock, you won't be able to get oil or anything out of the rock. Whereas from the mustard seed you can get, like that. There would be, if there was no Buddha nature, there is no. Because of this, there's a possibility. But then, okay, what kind of mind, if you more directly, what kind of mind create samsara? What kind of mind create nirvana? Or maybe before I begin with that, I just wanted to give you an example of what samsara is. Samsara is because of ignorance, negative emotions. We engage in negative action, resulting suffering. Samsara is we do all kinds of things for our happiness, but we turn out to be completely, we get the opposite. Our aim and action contradict together. As this great saint, Bodhisattva Shantideva, he said, very movingly, he said, I find this very inspiring. Though longing to be happy, in their ignorance, they destroy their happiness as if it were the worst enemy. Though they wish to get rid of suffering, yet they rush headlong towards it. Poor beings of samsara. You understand? Though longing to be happy, but in their ignorance they destroy their happiness as if it were the worst enemy. Though they wish to get rid of suffering, yet they rush headlong towards it. Our aim and our actions have gone contrary together. What we want and the way we go about it, the result is you don't get what what you look for. And there's dissatisfaction. Samsara is dissatisfaction and suffering, frustration and tension and stress. Stress.